look at Tropical Depression Debby right now from the 5 o'clock advisory. Winds are sustained at around 35 miles per hour. The eye is located around 45 miles east of Charlotte here in North Carolina. It's moving northwest at around 10 miles per hour. Earlier on in this morning, it was only moving around 4 miles per hour, so it is gaining forward speed, which is great, given that it will be out of our area quicker. This is the latest track of Tropical Depression Debby. Most models have it out of North Carolina, heading toward the northeast by tomorrow afternoon, and especially by the time we're into the evening, well off into the northeast, especially for the weekend. And by then, we'll be seeing lots more sunshine across the triad. A look across our area, several tornado warnings well to the east, and we even saw a couple here in the triad just in the last couple of hours with some of these more cells with rotation in them from these outer bands. But for now, looks like we are in the clear. Just flash flood warnings continuing for the next several hours due to this amount of rainfall across our area. Rainfall today anywhere between 2 to 4 inches, almost 4 inches in Greensboro and in Burlington. This is the wettest day we've had in almost 4.5 years. Almost 3 3/4 here in Winston-Salem, a little over an inch and almost a quarter in Lexington. But starting to see more and more amounts roll in the next couple of hours. High wind gusts also very high for the day today, 52 miles per hour. This was from this morning, actually, with that system, with the more windy system making its way into the area. 46 in Winston-Salem, 40 in Burlington. Haven't seen very high wind gusts, especially since this afternoon, and they'll continue to die down into tonight and especially for tomorrow afternoon. Again, 15 to 20 is a safe bet by tomorrow afternoon, with gusts up to around 25 miles per hour. Temperatures right now a little bit cool. We're in the lower and middle 70s, 75 in Greensboro and in Burlington, 74 in High Point as well as in Asheboro. Next 12 hours, we are back down into the lower 70s. Rain chances, though, you'll notice they'll stay pretty enhanced throughout the early morning hours, but slowly deteriorating by around 7 to 8 o'clock in the morning. So if you're getting up early, make sure you have the umbrella, and of course, watch for that flooding alongside the roads. Don't go to flood-prone areas, and just make sure you're being careful. Again, first alert weather impact alert day in effect the next several hours and continuing into tonight and early into the day tomorrow. We made it into the middle 70s. Tomorrow, first half of the day is going to be a weather impact alert due to that possible flooding and even some possible impacts continuing from Tropical System Debby throughout the early morning hours. But the good news is, behind the system, we're starting to clear, seeing a little bit more sunshine. It's really nice to see these sunshine emojis here. We're warming up a little bit behind it. We're back into the middle and upper 80s at best. Weather impact here. What's the weather impact? Well, we've been seeing it all throughout the day today, and you can expect it to continue into the night tonight and early into tomorrow morning before the system starts to move out of the area. Rain tallies have been anywhere between 3 to 6 inches, and we'll still see that off and on rain continuing into the night tonight. Flooding continues into tonight as well, especially along those trouble spots, and winds are continuing to weaken. The latest look at the satellite and radar with Tropical Depression Debby. A lot of rotating wind and rain here, as you can see, especially in the triad, with those flood watches and warnings still in effect, especially to our northern, especially for those northern counties where more and more rain and heavy bands is making their way across the Piedmont Triad and will continue to do so for the next several hours. We'll be keeping eyes on that. Also, storm reports for this in the last 6 hours. You can see a lot across North Carolina. This one here in Courtney, in the city of Courtney. Description has a part of a roof blown off a home and a few trees down as well. So it's not just the rainfall, but it's also the gusty winds that can knock things over, especially if you're out on the roads driving. You just have to make sure that you're being careful. Out here in Greensboro, many creeks and streams continue to rise, and many of them are flooding. Several branches off of the Buffalo Creeks in and near Greensboro are also flooded. Here's a look at just the last 24 hours in North Carolina from Tropical Storm, now Tropical Depression Debby. Lots and lots of storm reports. Every single circle here that you see is a storm report of some kind, with wind damage mainly and flooding for the Piedmont Triad. Even a couple of thunderclouds and tornadoes here to our east. We had a couple of warnings earlier just in the last several hours, but for now we are in the safe zone. Just have to watch for potential flooding these next several hours. And that flash flood warning is going to last until around 4:15. Looks like it should be around done. Flood watch continues until Saturday at around midnight. And here's here's that flash flooding risk continuing into tonight. We never see it this high. This is a level 4 of 4 across the triad, which means flooding is going to happen. It's going to continue to happen for the next several hours into tonight and also into tomorrow. Tornado risk well to our east, but we are now in a tornado watch for portions of our area. That includes Caswell County, so not completely out of the clear. We'll be keeping eyes on any possible rotating cells from Tropical System Debby for these next couple of hours. That tornado watch ends to our east by around 8 o'clock this evening. We're tracking Debby the next several hours out of our hair. Most models are suggesting by around 6 to 8 o'clock in the morning. That doesn't mean we might not have a couple of clouds still lingering in the area, but for the most part, the rain and the gusty winds are going to be over by the time we're into Friday morning, perhaps an isolated shower or two for the early afternoon. A look at the rapid refresh model showing more and more bands in the next couple of hours, but by the time we're into around 3 o'clock in the morning, that system is starting to live north of our area. Still could see an isolated shower or two with winds now coming in out of the south behind the system, but for the most part we are much drier and a lot less gusty, especially compared to what we saw this morning over our area. Starting to see much more sunshine back in the mix. May see some peaks of sun heading into the early afternoon for Friday, and especially by the time we are into the evening. Storm threats will continue for tonight. Again, main things are going to be those gusty winds. Still could see some up to 35 miles per hour or so, but we haven't been seeing them in these past couple of hours. Most of those higher gusts were actually this morning. Tornado threat pretty low, hail threat low, as well as flood threat is actually one of the higher ones, and that will continue for the night tonight. As for what you can expect for tomorrow, isolated shower going to be possible. We're starting off into the 70s by the time we're into the afternoon, middle and upper 80s. Some peaks of sunshine. Isolated showers still going to be possible, but for the most part you are able to enjoy that sunshine. Just keep an eye on the radar, keep the umbrella in the back seat. We're going to be back in the 80s for tomorrow. A little bit nice after a cooler day here in the 70s across our region. And in the next several days, I mean, we're going to stay pretty much in the 80s. Wind gusts right now across the area. Pretty gusty here along our coastline, as to be expected, around 40 in Wilmington. Not very high in Raleigh as here in Boone, and here in Asheville, 20 to 30 mile per hour wind gusts continuing to die down as this system continues to weaken here these next several days. And we'll be keeping eyes on it, of course. Let me slide just so I can get this to the next graphic. Tropical Depression Debby, again, this is the latest look, continuing to push toward the northwest at around 10 miles per hour out of our hair heading into tomorrow afternoon, and especially by the time we are into the evening. It's going to continue to weaken as it holds over land, and you'll notice that, and you have noticed that the last several days as it continues to plow through the area out of our hair heading into tonight and especially into tomorrow afternoon and also into the evening. But until then, we'll continue to keep eyes on the storm.